Hello, it's Dr. Budweiser, and I am coming to you directly from the Wiser Living headquarters. And today, I want to take a little time to talk about the life markers of longevity. You know, we hear a lot about living a long life. In some ancient wisdom, it says that we're granted 120 years, but most of us, we don't even think that we can live that long. And I've talked to people that don't want to live past 70. And so, but there are biomarkers or life markers that will tell you if you're going to live long or not. So my question to you is, do you want to? Number one. And if you do, let's go over the 10 life markers of longevity. The first one is muscle mass. The second one is strength. The third one is body fat percentage. Number 4, it would be bone density. Then there's the basal metabolic rate. That's number 5. Number 6 would be aerobic capacity. 7, blood sugar balance. Number 8 would be blood pressure. Number 9, cholesterol, the HDL, LDL ratio. And finally, there's a body temperature. In other words, the body's ability to regulate internal body temperature. Now, what's interesting about that is that most of those that I mentioned are exercise related. Case in point, muscle mass. Now I know when I say muscle mass, you start thinking about, oh, I'm going to get these big muscles, but you want to be toned. And so how do you do that? You have to exercise. You have to have some type of resistive type exercise in order to achieve muscular tone or muscle mass. We're not talking about bulking up. I mean, if you want to bulk up, fine. But if you want to tone, there must be a resistance to the muscle in order to tone it. Number 2 is strength. Your strength. Your strength comes from exercise, from movement. You know, a lot of times exercise has a negative connotation because people think, I got to go to the gym or I have to buy equipment. But no, just resistance. You can do push-ups right in your home. You can do it when you come out of bed. I mean, you can jump out of the bed. You can do 11 minutes of exercise and be on your way. Number 3 is body fat percentage. Now, when I talk about body fat percentage, I'm not talking about the fat that you see when you're looking in the mirror. I'm talking about the fat that you don't see, the fat that's embedded in your muscles that prevents your arteries and veins and the nerve that pierces the muscle from functioning at peak efficiency. If you exercise, that fat will have to go somewhere else. As a matter of fact, it will be burned and you'll be toned, and that muscle will get the oxygen that it needs in order to allow you to do what you were called to do. I don't know what you're called to do, but you do. The next is basal metabolic rate. And that's basically like you're just sitting down right now looking at this video, your body's burning calories. So what is your basal metabolic rate? Some people's are a little bit higher than others, but exercise will level that out for you. We're all different, but if we all exercise, our basal metabolic rates will be where it needs to be to burn the calories that need to be burned to keep you at the weight that you should be at. And your bone structure knows what weight you should be at. And that's why bone density is important. Now, bodybuilders, they know this all too well. If they want to increase the girth of the muscle, to have that muscle mass, they want massive muscles, they exercise. They put more stress on the bone. If they put stress on the bone and eat vegetables and get some protein in, then that bone is going to grow in girth. It's going to be like from here to here. And so the bigger that trunk is, that tree trunk, that bone, the larger muscle that can hold on to it. Otherwise, the tendon will just snap right away from the bone itself. So bone density is important. Aerobic capacity. That goes without saying. You know, you hear about bike riding, walking, jogging, running. That increases aerobic capacity. But guess what? You don't have to do all of that to increase your aerobic capacity. Can you hold your breath for 20 seconds? If you take a deep breath and just hold it and release it, that alone will increase your aerobic capacity. Now, each time you do that, it brings oxygen to the muscles or to the area that doesn't have enough oxygen. You can try this by just trying to touch your toes or touching the floor or putting your palms on the floor if you're very flexible. And take a deep breath when you feel resistance through your nose and exhale out through your mouth, and you'll find that you can go down further. You can lengthen that muscle a little bit more. Why is that? Is that because you're exercising a lot? Nope. You just brought some oxygen to the area that needed it most, and it took care of that. Breathe. Blood sugar balance. Now, you've read a lot of things about blood sugar imbalances or balance, and if it's imbalanced, we're looking at diabetes. A lot of people are pre-diabetic. They're on their way to diabetes. Some people don't have a blood sugar imbalance and don't realize it because they're not diabetic or pre-diabetic. They don't know. But if you're falling asleep between the hours of 12 and 3, or after you eat lunch between 12 and 3, and you fall asleep right after that, you have a blood sugar imbalance. And so that's another video we'll talk about. But once again, that could be exercise or diet related, right? Then there's cholesterol. You hear so much about cholesterol and taking statin drugs and all of these things. I personally would never take a statin drug. Now, don't get mad at me now. The reason being is because the pituitary, anytime you're under stress, the pituitary is going to make a phone call to the liver and say, make some cholesterol. Why? Because it needs pregnenolone, it needs DHEA, and to make that whole cascade of 87 hormones that you may need every day. You need the 87, but you don't know which one you need when. So the body makes cholesterol in order to make the hormones. Hormones. It makes hormones, so you need cholesterol. So why would you put a covering over that machinery, the liver, that makes the cholesterol in order for you to get the hormones? Because if you don't have the cholesterol and your adrenal glands need to kick out some adrenaline or some progesterone or some testosterone or some estrogen, it's not going to be able to do it. So when you go in the grocery store and you're buying processed foods like eggs that are not pasture raised, those eggs could increase. If they're not pasture raised, it could increase your cholesterol levels. But the ones that are pasture raised have enough sulfur and lecithin in it to break down the cholesterol that's in the egg. You can eat all the eggs you want and never have a cholesterol issue. So if you're under stress, the body needs cholesterol. So that's important. Then there's blood pressure. Blood pressure, we hear a lot about. A lot of people have high blood pressure, don't know it. It's a silent killer. But if you exercise, if you eat properly, if you supplement adequately, you're going to have good blood pressure, period. And then there's body temperature regulation. We should be at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But if you're not, if you're too low, that could be a problem with your thyroid. I know you've never heard of that, but you're hearing it now. If it's too low, if it's a little bit lower than it should be, that could be indicative of a thyroid issue, hypo or hyper. So you want that thyroid to be regulated because the pituitary gland, once again, and the hypothalamus are asking questions. Hey, do you need a certain nutrition? The immune system is asking a certain question sometimes. Hey, thyroid, do you need regeneration? Do you need repair? What do you need? And so if it knows what you need, then it can orchestrate that regeneration. It can orchestrate that repair. It can orchestrate just about everything. Because if an enemy is there, it will isolate it, neutralize it, and eliminate it. Now, when I talk about these 10 biomarkers or life markers of longevity, guess what? 6 of the 10 are exercise related. And guess what? Most people, they either don't like to exercise or they make the excuse and say they don't have time to exercise. But if you don't like exercise and you don't have time to exercise, you are going to have problems, and that's okay. I don't have my white coat on, but you will be seeing someone with a white coat, and they'll take out a little pad and they'll write you a prescription for that issue that you're coming in about, those symptoms. 4 of those 10 those 10 life markers are food related. So as you can see, that's why, and a lot of people disagree with me on this. A lot of times, I don't really care what you eat. If you're exercising, if your mind is in the right place, if I can change the way you think, your body's going to burn the calories, the food anyway. And the stuff that you're eating that you shouldn't be eating, your body will say, what is this? Okay, let's do it this way. We're going to make her or him throw it up. Or if it gets past your stomach, it'll say, let's liquefy this real quick and get it out. diarrhea. Burning, diarrhea. And so, once again, there are life markers, biomarkers of longevity. You don't know how long you're going to be here. You knew when you were born, and you know what your age is now. But you definitely don't know how old you are. But those biomarkers will make the determination if you have premature aging or delayed aging. And with that, this is Dr. Budweiser. We'll see you next time.